Okay, perfect. So I'll call the meeting to order. I have my sheet to read here. Good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Woodbury County Zoning Commission. Today's date is February 22nd, 2021. It is 6 p.m. Tonight's meeting will be audio taped and minutes will be prepared. I would like to take a moment to review the procedures that the commission will follow tonight. First, the commission will handle the normal housekeeping agenda items. Then for each application on the agenda, I will open the public hearing on the item. The planning and zoning staff will then present the staff report, including the staff recommendation. Any letters or any communication received from the public prior to the hearing will be entered into the record. The applicant will then have the opportunity to present his or her case and respond to staff report. Next, we will have comments from the public. If you would like to speak either in support of or against the application, you must come to the microphone. I guess we're all on microphone. Please first state your name and address for the record. All interested parties shall be heard, but repetitious comments should be avoided. Repetitious or irrelevant comments may be ruled out of order by the chair. I ask that you remain respectful and courteous with your comments at all times. After all public comments have been heard, the staff and applicant may make a closing statement. The hearing shall then be closed by motion and vote. Thereafter, no further comments from the staff, public, or applicant may be heard unless asked for by the commission. The commission shall then deliberate the case and may ask questions of the applicant, the staff, or any party offering testimony. However, such questions do not reopen the hearing for additional comments from the public unless so requested or approved by the commission. The commission will then formulate and vote on a motion. The motion will typically either grant or deny the requested application. Any commission member who has an ex parte communication to place in record of this meeting should do so prior to the beginning of the deliberation of the respective agenda items. Having said that, do we need a roll call, Dan?
Yes, we can run through roll call, and I'll start with the board members. And if you would just say present, we'll start with Corey Meister.
Present.
Jeff O'Toole.
Present.
Barb Parker.
Present.
Tom Bride.
Present.
And Chris Zelmerzant.
Present.
Okay, Doug Mordhorst, are you present?
Present.
Is Steve Holmes with you?
Yes, I'm present.
Okay, Doug Mordhorst and Steve Holmes are present. Is there any other member from the public present that we missed? Okay, Chairperson Zelmerzant, looks like roll call is complete.
Okay, we'll move on to the third item on the agenda, which is public comment on matters not on the agenda. Being that we don't have any other public, I think, on this call.
If I may use this time, I just want to briefly wrap up and mention that the action that was taken with the zoning commission on December 28th, just to let everyone on the commission know, the Board of Supervisors did end up passing Dustin Steinicke's rezone request from the 28th out there by Correctionville. And it was approved by the supervisors on January 19th. And the ordinance was formally put into order on January 27th. So the action that you took on December 28th, that's kind of the result of that. So that's all I.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Okay, hearing no other comments, we're going to move on to item number 4, which is the approval of the minutes of December 28th of 2020. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? Does anybody have any comments or corrections? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a move to approve. This is Jeff.
Okay, we have a motion from Jeff. Do you have a second?
This is Barb. I will second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any other comments or questions concerning those minutes? If not, all in favor say aye by roll call.
Okay, Corey Meister.
Aye.
Jeff O'Toole.
Aye.
Barb Parker.
Aye.
Tom Bride.
Aye.
and Chris Zelmerzant.
Aye.
Motion passed, minutes approved.
Okay, minutes approved. Let's go on to the next item, the item of business, number 5, which is the election of the chair and the vice chair. How do you want us to do that, being we don't have slips of paper that we can pass around?
Just for the record, the Board of Adjustment actually had the first meeting already, and they ended up choosing their chair and vice chairperson by a motion and second, and that route means
Okay.
that,
Take nominations.
and so we could take nominations if you want to follow that path.
Okay, so let's take nominations then.
This is Barb.
This is Court.
I would like to
Okay.
nominate. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, Barb.
This is Barb. I'd like to nominate Chris Zant to remain as our chairperson.
This is Corey Meister. I'll
Maybe
second that.
Okay, do we have any other nominations for chair? Dead silence. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do you want us just to go by roll call then? How do you want us to do that, Dan?
Yes, we can do that by roll call. So we have a nomination on the floor for Chris Zelmerzant as chairperson for 2021 Zoning Commission, and we can proceed with a vote.
Okay, you want to do roll call?
Yes, Corey Meister,
Aye.
Jeff O'Toole,
Aye.
Barb Parker. Hey, Barb, was that an aye? You kind of cut out.
Yes, that's an aye.
Okay. Tom
Barb
Bride
it is.
Aye.
and Chris Zelmerzant.
I accept. Thank you for
Okay.
your confidence.
Okay, Chris Zelmerzant is chairperson for 2021 for the Woodbury County Zoning Commission. Okay, now we have vice chair.
Now we have nominations for vice chair.
Yes.
Okay, anyone want to nominate? I nominate Tom Bride. This is Chris.
I will second that, Jeff O'Toole.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second. Do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll vote by roll call.
Okay, this is nomination for Tom Bride to serve as vice chairperson of the Woodbury County Zoning Commission for 2021. We'll have the roll call vote with Corey Meister,
Aye.
Jeff O'Toole,
Aye.
Barb Parker,
Aye.
Tom Bride,
I accept.
and Chris Zelmerzant.
Aye.
Okay, Tom, you've been selected for vice chairperson of the Woodbury County Zoning Commission for 2021.
Speech.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you, I think.
Yeah, we appreciate your service. Thanks, Tom. Okay, let's move on to the next item, the public hearing of the zoning ordinance map amendment, a rezone proposal. Dan, do you want to read the information into the record, please?
Yes. Yes, Steve Holmes, who is a co-trustee of the Gilbert C. Holmes Irrevocable Trust, has submitted a zoning ordinance map amendment application to rezone their family property from the Agricultural Preservation Zoning District to the Agricultural Estate Zoning District concurrently with a minor subdivision application, which is to divide the parcel into 3 lots. Lot 1 consisting of 3.107 acres, Lot 2 of 3.130 acres, and Lot 3 for 3.273 acres to establish the Rainbow Addition. The purpose of this proposal is to divide the property among 3 siblings and enable the opportunity for Steve Holmes to build a single-family dwelling on the proposed Lot 3. The property was purchased by their father, Gilbert C. Holmes, back in 1961, who operated a fur and fox farm on the property until 1986. And Mr. Holmes resided on the property until 2015 and had passed in 2019. The property is identified as parcel number 894634100004, and this is located in Township 89 North, Range 46 West, which is the Concord Township. This is in the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 34. The property is addressed at 7510 Correctionville Road, Sioux City, Iowa, 51106. This property is not located in the floodplain, and following the evaluation of the requirements for specific to the rezone proposal as per the Woodbury County zoning ordinance, the staff recommends approval of the rezone as proposed. Beginning on page 4 of the packet for the zoning commission, the staff looked through the regulations and criteria, including the future land use map, and finds this as an area that kind of fits appropriate to the future land use map of 2005 as per residential. And so the recommendation fits properly in that regard. Looking at the other criteria, the staff sees that there's no major compatibility or conformance issues with the policies of other agencies that were noticed with respect to the matter. The staff considered the corn suitable rating of the property as is required by rezones and does not see any issues there for this really kind of continuing a residential purpose. Compatibility with adjacent land uses. We've identified properties that are adjacent both across the street and to the east. In terms of compatibility with other physical economic factors affecting the rezoning, staff sees it as compatible with other physical and economic factors in the project area, as there's no major infrastructure projects that would be required to suit both the rezone request and the minor subdivision. Staff recommends approval. We've also in the packet, even this time around, you might notice some changes to the packet. We're offering some information, including a suggested motion to be considered. But kind of moving forward, for the record, I want to read into this that this has been properly published in the Sioux City Journal legal section on Thursday, February 10th, 2021. The property owners have been appropriately notified by letter. As of February 27th, and actually as of today, we have not heard any information from adjacent landowners or landowners within 1,000 feet. There's been no comments about the respective project. The packet lays out the names from the certified abstractor listing, those of which have received a letter. And of course, the stakeholder review comments were listed, and we don't see anything within those comments that would hinder the promise of this proposal. And we have also provided, of course, supporting language of what the ordinance would likely look like. So with that said, staff, of course, the next agenda item specifically gets into the minor subdivision, but this in particular, staff sees this rezone as appropriate considering the property owners wish to add a new single-family dwelling, which is really the purpose of this rezone. That's all I have, Chairperson Zellmer-Zamp.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this, the application at this point in time?
This is Barb. I have a question on the easternmost lot that has two separate residences. How are we wanting to move forward with two residents on one parcel? Is that,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, may I? We've looked at this and we've brought this to the property owner's attention. And it is an administrative function that we can work on with the property owner to bring that into respective compliance. The property owner has definitely briefed us about the historical nature of this property. And this property really kind of shows the legacy of what county living has been about kind of historically, with kind of a farm operation. And the very unique story is that Steve Holmes and his family grew up here. This is his childhood home. He had moved out to West Virginia and had come back. And so the property owner is aware on what the legal non-conforming issues are with those respective structures. And that is something that we can definitely address with them administratively when it comes to those type of structures under legal nonconformity. But again, the legacy is that those structures were added out there. You might see from the range of the 1970s, or excuse me, the 1960s through the 1970s, and they were a result of farming, basically.
Thanks for saying that, Dan. Are there two families living on that property?
In terms of who is living there and that aspect, that's one of the things that we will work with the property owner on, specifically administratively. But on that alone, I may have to defer to the property owner who is here tonight.
Yes, I can speak to that. That lot had two homes on it. One was built, I believe, 1972, something around that time, and we always referred to that as Dad's house. When we moved on the property in '61, there was only one dwelling, and that's the dwelling on lot number 2. And actually, I need to. Okay, and then on lot number 1, a new stick-built home was built there, roughly 1971, 72, in that time frame the home was constructed. And then in 1973, my grandmother moved on the property, and she lived on the property for 12 years. Initially, she lived with us on the house, the newer home that was built on lot 1. And then at some point, I don't know, maybe 3 years after she'd lived with us, my dad purchased her own separate residence there, which is why there's 2 residences on that lot. And then after my grandmother passed, she lived there for 12 years. Dad rented that residence out, and he lived in the other residence. In 2015, I came and got Dad. He was, for health issues, was no longer able to live alone. And so I moved him to the East Coast with me, where I'm a home builder. And in fact, I built him a home across from my home where he lived for just over 5 years until he passed.
Thank you for sharing that information, Mr. Holmes.
Sure.
Any other commissioners have any questions or comments at this time?
This is Tom, and I guess I would just follow up on that, Dan. Actually, this parcel had 3 residents on it, which would be currently non-conforming also. And if either of the 3 were to be damaged beyond the 50%, then they wouldn't be able to reconstruct that particular property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so actually what we would be doing, I mean, this is the rezone portion, not the subdivision, but if we were to subdivide this into the 3 lots, we'd actually be making lot 2 a conforming lot. Not lot 1 would still remain non-conforming with the 2 residents, correct?
They'd be conforming lots. You'd have one legal non-conforming structure.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. That we basically would be creating lot 2 as a conforming lot, and the structure would be conforming, and then lot 1 would still have one non-conforming structure.
Correct. And then we'll work with the property owners administratively to, on the oversight of that second dwelling. And, at the time that it doesn't meet the requirements, then we'll work with the property owners to remove that accordingly.
Okay. Do we have any other comments or questions from the commissioners? Dan, you're here. Moorhorse, you're here. Do you have any comments that you'd like to add to the record? Or Doug? Sorry.
This is Doug. I have no comments.
Okay, thank you. We have no public, so if we're done discussing, I'd entertain a motion.
And I would, Chairperson Zelmerzan, I just make a point that if there is a motion entertained, there is some recommended language that the commission could consider on page 5.
Okay. Is that your suggested motion that we have?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Jeff O'Toole. I'll make that motion.
Do you want to make the motion as suggested on page 5?
Yes, the motion to recommend the approval map amendment for parcel number 8944634 block of 04 from agricultural preserve to agricultural estates.
Okay. Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Barb. I will second that motion.
Okay, do we have any further discussions? I know we commented on staff working with the owners on the second house on lot 1. But I think at this point in time, we can do that in the next step, if everyone's comfortable with that. Or find it necessary. So if I hear no other comments, we'll go to roll call.
Okay, Corey Meister,
Aye.
Jeff O'Toole,
Aye.
Barb Parker,
Aye.
Tom Bride,
Aye.
and Chris Zelmerzan.
Aye.
Okay, looks like rezone approved or recommended to the Board of Supervisors. approval.
Right. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the public hearing for Rainbow Edition minor subdivision proposal. And do you want to read that information into the record, please, Dan?
Yes. And again, Steve Holmes, co-trustee of the Gilbert C. Holmes Irrevocable Trust, has submitted a minor subdivision application to divide their family parcel into 3 lots. Lot 1, 3.107 acres, Lot 2, 3.130 acres, and Lot 3, 3.273 acres to establish the Rainbow Edition. It is required that this property be concurrently rezoned from the Agricultural Preservation Zoning District to the Agricultural Estate Zoning District to meet the requirements of Section 3.01.1B of the Woodbury County Zoning Ordinance, as not more than 2 houses are allowed in a 40-acre tract in the Agricultural Preservation Zoning District, as is allowed in the Agricultural Estate Zoning District. The purpose of this proposal is to divide the property among 3 siblings. Steve Holmes plans to build a single-family dwelling on the proposed Lot 3, while Lot 1 has 2 existing dwellings and Lot 2 has an existing dwelling as a result of the property's previous agricultural use. Holmes' father, Gilbert C. Holmes, purchased the land in 1961 and operated a fur and fox farm on the property until 1986. Mr. Holmes resided on the property until 2015 and passed in 2019. The property is identified as parcel number 894634100004 and is located in Township 89 North, Range 46 West, which is Concord Township, in the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of Section 34. The address is 7510 Correctionville Road, Sioux City, Iowa, 51106. The property is not located in the floodplain. Following the evaluation of the staff review requirements for a minor subdivision as per the Woodbury County zoning and subdivision ordinances, the staff recommends approval of the final plat as proposed. You will see on pages 20 and 21 of your packet, staff basically went through the ordinance, and these are basically, page 20 kind of looks at the staff requirements. Page 20 looks at the zoning commission requirements, and the staff will report to the zoning commission that based on the first requirement, we basically have to review the application for completeness and in accordance with the subdivision plat per Iowa code. Staff reviewed the subdivision application, deemed it complete, and verified that the final plat's conformance to the county zoning, subdivision ordinance, and the code of Iowa, all as required by law, were appropriate. The staff also reviewed the application fee, and the account is paid in full. Staff also distributed copies of the final plat and other materials to the relevant stakeholders as is presented in the report. Staff has received written communication, as you'll see in the report, that the county engineer, Mark Nara, has reviewed and determined that the final plat conforms to the engineering and design standards of these regulations, and he has verified the accuracy of the legal descriptions and the survey data, including has found appropriate places for access with the driveways. Staff verified that the final plat conforms to the design standards of the regulations as well as required form on the final plat. And staff can attest that final plat conforms to the goals and objectives of the county plan and have no additional recommendations or requirements as it relates to the final plat. Basically, the staff recommendation is approval of the final plat as proposed. And of course, on page 21, the zoning commission criteria is there as well. But in a nutshell, staff approval of plat. And as before, there is a suggested motion, but I will read into the record that the legal notification, this was published in the Sioux City Journal's legal section on February 10th, 2021. The 5 property owners within 1,000 feet were notified by a letter. As of today, this date, we still have not received any comments from the public concerning this proposal. The names of the folks from the certified abstractor listing are included in the record, as well as the stakeholder comments as were referenced in the staff report. County Engineer Nara's review memo is available on page 23. And just for the record, County Engineer Nara was actually involved in the pre-application meeting dated all the way back to the fall. Because certainly looking at the property, and we wanted to definitely make sure, as we always do, that the driveway and the access information complied with the requirements of the Secondary Roads Department. On page 24 of your packet, this did end up having to be reviewed for extraterritorial review. It's actually ongoing concurrently with the city of Sioux City. They will look at the proposal on February 23rd, and the city for the city zoning commission and the city council of Sioux City will look at this on March 8th. And down on the corner, basically, this image doesn't show the best on page 24, but it does clip the 2-mile portion. Actually, in Section 3 of Woodbury Township is the spot where the 2-mile range clips the extraterritorial review. Other than that, Chairperson Zelmerzant, as we said, staff does recommend approval of this plat. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions or comments on the application?
This is Tom, and I guess I'd have a couple questions. First off, with Lot 2, just to verify that the septic tank and the drain field is all contained on Lot 2 and nothing extends out onto Lot 3, would be my first concern or question. The second one being, Dan, what is the required road frontage for a front yard lot?
You got the 200 feet across for each lot, and we see that is in compliance. You might see that corner up there on Lot 1, that even though it kind of kicks back in a bit, we went over this with Doug Mordhorst, the surveyor. That would count as lot frontage all the way to the the eastern portion of that lot.
Okay, thank you. And then the other point I guess I would also verify is that by doing what we are potentially going to do, we would still have Lot 1 with a non-conforming structure.
Yeah.
So the septic's my main issue, that if that's contained.
Yes, that's correct.
I guess you can address that.
I could address the septic tank issue. I don't know if you guys have a copy of the plat map in front of you, but if you look at lot number 2, where it says house, the septic, the 2 septic tanks are designated by 2 X's, which are, as you can see, if you look at lot 2 map, well within the confines of lot 2. They're not anywhere near lot 3.
Where are the drain fields at for those?
The drain fields would be in that, if you look at the lot 2, the drain fields are within the dotted lines where it says 50 feet and 75 feet, and then there are the 2 X's. So I guess it's, let's see, this is north. It's just north of the house.
Okay, so, yeah, that's what I was curious. So the drain fields or the leach fields are contained on lot 2. That was the only question I had. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
My question is now, kind of expanding on that, and this is Chris, is that because this is a transfer of an estate, there's no inspection required for septics or drain fields. Am I right? Dan?
Well, my understanding is I'd have to defer to that with Ivy Bremer over at the Siouxland District Health Department.
Okay.
If it stays within the family, or if they're making any type of a transaction like that, they would have to report to the health department on that and kind of work through them.
Okay. I guess I'm curious. I know drainage fields are subject to how many bedrooms and how many square footage are in the house. And I know they're pretty extensive these days.
Yeah, and kind of the what kind of happens is it doesn't really fit under like our parameters. So Siouxland District Health actually would catch that in turn. If there's any type of permitting, that is very correct what you say about the number of rooms, and I understand it does have that effect. So that's kind of when we work together with Siouxland District Health, but that's fully in their court on those standards.
I wanted just to have that on the record, though, just to make people aware.
Sure.
And then Doug, to expound on Tom's question for lot one, I see a mag nail that's at 168.57 as far as frontage goes, and then I see the 202.05 where the other point or nail is on the corner it would be the northeast corner of the lot number one. Is that what we're referring to? Is that our 200-foot frontage?
No, what happened there, where that 33-foot jog is, and then it goes another 121.3 feet easterly.
Okay.
That's the right of way for the county road.
Okay.
And that was it was one area it said purchase, another area says easement. So I talked to the attorney about that, whether we should include all the way over to the east line of the property as roadway easement to the center line of the road. But he said it had been accepted out for so long that we should leave it out. But that is the roadway easement, that 121 feet.
Okay.
So it's still frontage to the roadway.
Okay. And so now the other question then is there going to be, let's see, I see an existing driveway, a proposed driveway on lot 3, and another existing driveway on lot 2. So they all have their own driveways, it looks like. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all I have for questions. Anyone else?
Dan, I got one. Yeah, this is Corey Meister. I got a question for Dan. I'm not sure if I understand approving a lot that has a non-conforming structure on there. How does that work?
It's actually pretty common in terms of splits. You look really carefully at when something has been put into place before the ordinance, and people do gain their property rights by pre-ordinance. And we looked real carefully kind of at the lineage of this ordinance relative, or excuse me, the lineage of some of these structures relative to the ordinance. And I pulled up a timeline on when these were adopted in 1971 and forward. And so, yeah, it is allowed to split and have these non-conforming structures historically.
Okay, thank you.
I think some of the work that we had done in 2005 is something we didn't want to lose, at least at that time, was the opportunity for a grandpa house. Does anybody remember that language? It was exactly what this was used for. It was put in place for a relative that couldn't live on their own. We wanted to make concessions for that kind of a situation for people. So we called them grandpa houses or grandma houses or whatever, where a relative can live in them. That was back
Chris,
in the day.
this is Tom, and I guess I'd just expand on that. Yeah, it's currently in effect now that a quarter can still have more than one residence if it's a family member or a hired hand involved in operation. And that's, I'm assuming, how these houses got put onto this parcel to start with.
Right, as an agricultural entity to begin with. Right. Okay.
This is Corey again. I totally understand that. But what if a non-family member is living there? I heard the word that house was rented out.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happens? That's still just okay because it was a grandpa house at one time? I'm not sure if I understand that.
Once the use once the use ceases, once the allowed use ceases for a year, then it's no longer allowed. Or if the property sustains more than 50% of damage than what it would cost to repair it, then we wouldn't allow those uses and work with the property owner to remove those structures accordingly.
Okay.
So this is Tom again. So then basically, in a sense, what you're saying is one of those structures will have to be removed within 1 year?
We're going to work with the property owner to allow the person that's living in there now to remain there until their lease ends. And then we're going to work with the property owners and to see if the next tenant is a relative or not, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Good questions. All good questions. Anyone else?
This is Jeff. Just a quick question. With the visibility issues on the hill there where that property is located, is there any recommendation to move the lot 1 driveway to improve visibility? I know it says in the roads department it's okay because it's always been that way, but is there any recommendation on that at all, or is it feasible?
Yeah, Jeff, this is Dan. That is very specific to the county engineer, and a lot of we very much defer to his what he says on these respective things, because he knows the site distance calculations, and he's very specific. And he was brought in on this one very early out of kind of similar kind of thing that you had just mentioned. And I guess we typically as a staff very much go off of what he says.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, are you ready to move on with motion? Things we have no public further comment.
Close the public hearing and entertain motion.
Yeah, basically you could close the public hearing and then entertain a motion.
Okay. Do you want to close the public hearing by roll call?
Sure. Okay, close the public hearing. Corey Meister,
Aye.
Jeff O'Toole,
Aye.
Barb Parker,
Aye.
Tom Bride,
Aye.
and Chris Summerzant.
Aye.
I think Chris made the motion, but I didn't catch you second.
Okay, was there, Chris, I think you made the motion. Did we have a second on that one to close the public hearing? I don't think.
I think I
we
took
heard.
the initiative to do it.
Okay.
I don't think we got a second.
Someone want to second
This
that?
is Tom, and I'll second that.
All right, we'll put you down. Thank you.
Okay.
We're ready for motion?
Yes.
And as before, we just, for the record, we did provide a suggested motion on page 21 of the packet to assist.
Now, do you want any kind of language that refers to that second house to be added to this?
We can handle that administratively, so you wouldn't need it.
Okay. We have it in the record tonight, so that should be as good.
Sure.
Okay. Anyone?
This is Corey Meister. I'll motion to recommend approval of the Rainbow Edition final plat as proposed.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
This is Jeff. I'll second that.
Do we have any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to roll call.
Okay, Corey Meister,
Aye.
Jeff O'Toole,
Aye.
Barb Parker,
I,
Tom Bride,
Aye.
and Chris Zelmerzant. It looks like the motion
Aye.
to recommend approval of the Rainbow Edition passes. Recommend to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, the next item on the agenda then is public comment on matters not on the agenda. Item number 6. And as we have no public, we'll move on to number 7, which is commissioner comments or inquiries. I'm hearing none of those. And so then we will move on to adjournment. We wanted a motion to adjourn.
Yes.
How about a second? I'll motion to adjourn.
Corey Meister, I'll second.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, by roll call, all in favor, say aye.
Okay, Corey Meister,
Aye.
Jeff O'Toole,
Aye.
Barb Parker,
I.
Tom Bride,
Aye.
and Chris Zelmerzant.
Aye.
Okay, motion to adjourn approved.
Okay, thank you everyone for your time and your participation tonight. Very good questions.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Yep,
night.
thanks.
Thank you.
Doug Mordors.